In your online welcome speech to open the Digital London Fashion Week, you talked about the death of George Floyd and that the industry must reflect on why it's taken such extreme events to galvanise it into action on racism. You've called on the industry to double its efforts to take on racism in all its forms. How big a problem do you think racism is in the fashion industry today?
Well, I think what this has made all of us reflect on is, do we have unconscious bias? Are we actively creating a level playing field? Are we reaching out beyond our usual networks to make sure that we're creating opportunities? And do we have diversity at all levels? Is that certainly in British fashion, and as London specifically, we're very proud of it being a multicultural, diverse city, and our fashion industry definitely benefits from that, is that we've increased the number of designers from the BAME community on the catwalks in London. There's definitely more to be done there. That's very much credit to our colleges and reaching out and making sure that they have the diversity in students coming through. The diversity on our catwalks increase, again, is that can be done. But, you know, when we then look at our head offices, is that they're not matching the efforts that we're seeing in the public eye. And we need to reflect why that is. We need to make sure that there's programs. We will be judged on action, not on words. And I think is that we need to be held account, and we need transparency in the way that there's call for transparency around environmental impact as well.
Do you feel, though, disappointed that it has taken such extreme events to shine a light on it?
Of course it does, and I think is that it's created a huge amount of embarrassment that it has taken this, and I think it's very much made us look at society and why we haven't as a society or as any industry really taken on this as a challenge. And I think is that trying to think about the positive, we have to reflect on the past to learn from it. But it's what can we do now? How can we make changes? And how do we make sure that this isn't something, there was a lot of conversation, I think, from the Black community, very concerned that this was something that would be a moment where every business commented on, but there was no action and follow through. And so our call is that let's make sure there's action and follow through.
What do you think the biggest change you can make that will see that action?
Well, I think everyone has to look at their boards. They have to look at their recruitment processes. They have to actively go out and look at community. They have to champion and be the supporters and the allies to the individuals within their organisation, and really reflect is your business a culture that is welcome to individuals and to minority groups, you know, of all kinds. And when I've been hearing sort of the personal stories over the last couple of weeks of individuals that just didn't feel that they could have a voice, is that it really makes you reflect that there's a lot of work to be done, but it's within our power to do it. And that's one of the most encouraging things, is that we have the power for change. So let's do that.
And do you feel almost a personal responsibility to make sure that happens?
I do, absolutely. I think as the British Fashion Council, although we're a relatively small organisation, is that we have an incredible stakeholder base. And I think people look to London for change. And how incredible would it be if within the UK we became leaders in this field, and that the rest of the world were looking to us and saying, actually, the UK stepped up, is that they created change. They have programmes that will last for the long term. And society may well be reflecting that as well, is that the voice of the fashion industry and the connection it has to society, it means not just within our organisations will we see that change, but hopefully within society as well.
What about the recent criticism of Conde Nast and their lack of diversity and race representation? Anna Wintour had to come out and make an apology. How damaging is that for the fashion industry?
Well, as I said, I think every business is reflecting in the head office, is that I think Conde Nast, as being such a big publisher, is one of the many organisations that has been asked to reflect on this. Of course, Conde Nast in the UK is doing slightly better. It has a great champion in Edward Enninful, and I know that personally he and everyone else within Conde Nast that is wanting to see change will be pushing for this now. And I think it's a reflection of many of the head offices that we have within the fashion industry. And as I said, that's where we all have to reflect.